Good morning to Tyler. Good morning, Mr. Flint.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Standish.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Mr. O'Rourke.
Morning.
Miss Llewellyn. Miss Llewellyn! Miss Calhoun?
Yes, sir.
Where's my secretary?
Oh, I was going to tell you, sir. Miss Llewellyn called to say she isn't feeling well and won't be in today.
Not feeling well? When I engaged Miss Llewellyn 18 years ago, she assured me she was in perfect health.
Yes, sir. I guess we all make mistakes now and then.
Oh, well. Under the circumstances, I'll have to ask you to type a letter for me.
Well, I'll try to fit it in, Mr. Tyler, but I have letters to type for Mr. Standish.
Oh, never mind. Oh, what's the name of that young lady at the reception desk?
McKeever.
Thank you, Miss Calhoun. Miss McKeever! Miss McKeever! Miss McKeever!
Hello? 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 Hello?
Miss McKeever? No.
Oh, Mr. Tyler, am I glad to see you. Somebody's been calling my name on this thing, and I couldn't...
It was I who was calling you, Miss McKeever.
Oh, well, then it doesn't matter because you're here.
So I am. I want you to type this letter for me, Miss McKeever, in triplicate. When you've finished, just put it on my desk.
Triplicate. Triplicate.
Impossible.
You're a real gentleman, Mr. Tyler. I can see that, but there's no need to stand on my account.
Flint! Standish! O'Rourke! O'Rourke! Standish! Flint! Sit down. Gentlemen, are you aware that the firm of Tyler, Flint, Standish, and O'Rourke, a firm noted for its thoroughgoing efficiency, down to the smallest detail, has in its employ a young woman who can type only 7 words per minute?
Are you certain?
Oh, that's incredible. Beyond the shadow of a doubt. Let me check my figures. I timed her.
Well, who is she?
The young lady I referred to occupies the reception desk in our outer office. Miss McKeever. Miss Birdie McKeever. Oh, come now, gentlemen. One of you must know this Miss McKeever because one of you must have hired her.
Well, not I. Nor me.
O'Rourke?
Oh, you ought to know me better than that, Tyler. I wouldn't hire a girl who could type only 7 words a minute, even if she is Irish.
Well, we'd better ask the young lady herself. I think I'd better go and get her. Short words, too. First of all, Miss McKeever, just how long have you been working here?
It'll be a year next month. That's the longest I've worked anywhere.
Well, I can understand that. Now, do you recall just who it was who hired you?
Well, nobody hired me in the proper sense of the word.
Oh, no, surely.
Well, you see, the way it all happened was that my girlfriend, Mercedes McNutt...
McNutt. The name sounds familiar. Of course, I hired her myself 2 years ago. Excellent girl.
And as true a friend as you'd find anywhere.
Yes, no doubt. But how?
Well, sir, just a year ago next month, Mercedes' grandmother died up in Poughkeepsie. And Mercedes had already had her vacation, and she didn't like to ask for more time off. So she asked me if I'd sit in for her while she was gone. She said there was nothing to it. All I'd have to do was say, good morning, Mr. Tyler. Good morning, Mr. Flint. Good morning, Mr. Standish. And good morning, Mr. O'Rourke. And answer the phone a few times.
As simple as that, eh?
Yes, sir. And that's the way it's been, too. Up until this morning, that is. You know, it was a real surprise to me when you brought me that letter to type.
It must have been.
Well, now, don't apologize. I was just glad to help out.
Well, thank you. But if you don't mind my asking, just what became of this Miss McNutt?
Well, it was after the funeral she met this young man, and they got married. And I said I'd sort of sit in for her until she got back.
So you just stayed on?
Yes, sir. And I haven't minded it one bit, really I haven't. So don't you worry yourself over that.
Miss McKeever, as the treasurer of this firm, there's one thing in particular that I'm curious about. How have you been paid?
Well, I just signed a little blue slip and my checks come through just as nice as you please.
Oh, I see.
I think, Miss McKeever, that will be all for now.
Yes, sir. Well, it was a real pleasure talking to all of you gentlemen.
She will, of course, have to be dismissed.
You know, though, as receptionist, she isn't called upon to do much typing. What I mean is, she was here nearly a year before the occasion arose.
Ah, but it did arise, didn't
Well,
it?
Yes.
There you are, then.
Well, that's that. You'll give her notice, I suppose.
I?
Well, it was you who brought the matter up in the first place, and you are the senior partner.
Well, I fail to see what that has to do with it.
Well, who's going to tell her that?
Well, I had thought that I would turn the matter over to whichever one of you hired her. However, now...
Wait a minute. O'Rourke, in the first place, hired Miss McNutt. So indirectly, he's responsible.
Exactly.
But I...
Nonsense. You're the logical one for it, O'Rourke. I shall count on you speaking to Miss McKeever first thing in the morning.
Well, good morning, Mr. O'Rourke. Aren't you the early bird, though?
Well, the fact is, Miss McKeever, I wondered if I could have a word with you.
I can't think of anything I'd enjoy more.
Of course, if you're too busy.
Oh, bless you, no. To tell the honest truth, it's many a day when I'm hard put to keep myself occupied till it's time to go home.
Oh?
If you don't mind my saying so, Mr. O'Rourke, you're looking very fit this morning. That's a new tie, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it is. Do you like it?
Indeed, I do. Now, there's a color that really does you justice.
Well, I'm glad you think so. Personally, I don't care much for green. But in this case, I have to wear it. My wife gave it to me for our anniversary.
It is? Well, congratulations, Mr. O'Rourke.
Thank you, Miss McKeever.
How long have you been married?
Well, let me see now. It was 12 years ago yesterday. No, 11. I never do remember exactly.
You're a lucky man, Mr. O'Rourke. It's a sign of true love when a wife picks out a tie that looks so well on her husband.
It is?
Oh, yes, indeed. A sure sign.
I'll have to tell Margaret that.
Don't tell me your wife's name is Margaret.
Why, yes.
That was my own dear mother's name, rest her soul. From County Cork she was.
Is that a fact? My father came from Cork. Of course, that was a good many years ago.
Well, it's no denying it's a small world. Oh, goodness, look at the time. Here I am going on like the chatterbox I am, and I haven't even got this mail sorted. Well, it was grand talking to you, Mr. O'Rourke. You just stop by here any time.
You mean to stand there and tell me that you didn't inform Miss McKeever that she's leaving?
Well, the fact of the matter is, this may take a little more time than we had thought.
Time? Time? What do you mean? What's so difficult about telling an employee that her services are no longer required, done every day?
Yeah, I know. It sounds easy when you say it, but...
Well, I can't deny that I'm disappointed in you, O'Rourke. I'm afraid I have no choice but to turn the entire matter over to Standish.
Who? Me?
Precisely. I shall count on you to speak to Miss McKeever in the morning.
Mr. Standish, how are you today?
Fine. Fine, just fine.
I'm glad to hear that.
Miss McKeever, are you quite happy working for us?
Why, Mr. Standish, how thoughtful of you to ask me. But don't you worry now. I wouldn't dream of working anywhere but here.
You wouldn't?
Oh, bless you, no. I'd be an ungrateful fool if I did, after all the kindness you gentlemen have showed me.
Yes. Well...
Oh, something fell out of your pocket there.
What? Oh. Oh, dear me, I forgot all about this. Young Jackie asked me to mail it. It's some box tops he's sending in for an atomic decoding ring, some such thing. You know how boys are.
You have a son? I didn't know that.
Oh, my, yes, I have 3.
Well, isn't that grand? You wouldn't happen to have a picture of them, would you?
Well, as a matter of fact, I do just happen to have a couple of snapshots.
You have?
Yes, here. Those were taken at camp last summer. This was out in front of our house. And these were at Lake Potawatomi. We go there for a few weeks every summer.
Oh, what fine husky lads they are. And each one the spitting image of his father.
You do think they look like me?
You can ask that? Why, I'd know them anywhere for yours.
Oh, really? Funny thing is, most people think that Ronnie here, he's the one in the middle, favors his mother's side of the family.
Well, of course, I don't know your wife, but there's no mistaking the set of that chin. And around the eyes here, but that young man is his father all over again.
Well, this is interesting. That's exactly the way I felt about it. But, of course, I always tried to avoid arguments with my in-laws.
Well, it's a strange thing about people's opinions. I mean, everybody sees things from their own personal viewpoint. Now, take color, for instance. You know, you've heard how some people are colorblind, and there's so many times when 2 people don't agree that 2 things are the same shade or color. Now, for instance, what color would you say my eyes were?
Oh, well, now... gray. Sort of greenish gray.
There, you see, my boyfriend thinks they're hazel. So you see, it's all a matter of opinion.
Hazel?
Good morning, Mr. Tyler.
Standish, do you realize what a spectacle you were making of yourself when I stepped through that door? You leaning across Miss McKeever's desk, gazing into her eyes like a silly, goggle-eyed schoolboy.
What, was it really that bad?
Worse, much worse. And on top of all that, Miss McKeever still has not been informed of her dismissal. What in the world has happened to this firm? We have hired and fired a good many people since we started in business, and now faced with the simple, clear-cut task of discharging a highly inefficient young woman, you and O'Rourke. Flint.
Yes, sir?
Do you think that you could face the formidable Miss McKeever and tell her in plain, unmistakable English that she is fired?
Well, I don't see why not.
Very well. And I shall count upon you to speak to Miss McKeever first thing in the morning. And this time, I want results.
I do declare I never saw such gentlemen forgetting to work at the crack of dawn. It's no wonder you've made a success of things.
Miss McKeever, I shall be brief.
All right, sir.
You must realize that I speak not for myself alone, but for the entire firm of Tyler, Flint, Standish, and O'Rourke.
That must be a dreadful big responsibility.
Oh, well, it's not. It is. And we want you to know, Miss McKeever, that we, all of us, that is, Tyler and Standish and O'Rourke and myself, Flint, we are not unappreciative of the fact that you have been with us for nearly a year. Of course, although your association with the firm came about somewhat by accident, we still assume, we definitely assume, that you have served us to the best of your ability.
Please, Mr. Flint. Don't go on.
I beg your pardon?
If it's a raise you're after giving me, I can't let you do it.
Oh, Miss McKeever, you don't understand.
I understand that you're the dearest, kindest gentleman in all the world. And it's exactly because of that I wouldn't feel right in letting you pay me any more money. I get along very nicely on what I make now, and I'm making every cent of what I'm worth, maybe more. Now, nobody knows that better than I.
Well, I don't know what to say.
I just want you to thank the rest of the gentlemen for their kind thoughts and tell them that I couldn't accept a raise.
Well, that will certainly come as a great surprise to them.
I'm sure they'll see it my way if you'll just explain. Would you turn this way a bit?
Pardon me? Oh.
Just what I thought. You're going to lose that button before the day is out if it isn't sewed on tight.
Oh, I didn't see that. I'll have to drop by the tailor's.
Why, you'll do no such thing.
Oh, no, really. No, I couldn't let you do that. Thank you very much.
Now, look, I can have it fixed in less time than it takes to argue about it. Now, you just come right here.
That's very kind of you. I guess that's what comes of being a bachelor, huh?
You a bachelor? Well, now, that's hard to believe. Seems to me that some nice woman would have set her cap a long time ago for a fine-looking gentleman like yourself.
Well, I was engaged at one time. Her name was Emily. But she married someone else.
No. Why, the poor dear lady must have lost hold of her senses.
Oh, no, she seemed to know what she was doing. All right. He was a very dashing fellow, a furniture salesman.
A poor choice, if you ask me. I'll bet she regrets it to this day.
Well, I don't know about that.
There. Now, that button won't come off for a good long while.
Well, I don't know how to thank you.
Oh, there's no trouble at all.
Yeah. You know, it's very odd, the subject of Emily coming up just now. Because, you see, she became a widow about 2 years ago. And it occurred to me just lately that it might not be out of place for me to, call on her at any rate.
I don't think you should have a doubt in the world.
Yeah, because after all, we were friends, as I said. And of course, now we're a little older and a little wiser, and I dare say we could let bygones be bygones, don't you think?
Of course you could. Why, I think it's a crying shame to let the poor dear lady sit there all alone.
Well, of course, she's not exactly alone. She has 4 children.
It's not the same. It's not the same thing at all.
You think I should get in touch with her then?
I think it's the only friendly, decent thing to do.
You're right. By George, you're right. I'm going to call on her this very minute. Who knows? I might even ask her to lunch.
Standish, have you tried to reach Flint again?
Miss Calhoun has been calling us home all day, but there's no answer.
The coward. I suppose this Miss McKeever has left for the day?
Oh, no, I don't think so. She doesn't usually leave till 5.
Very well. I guess there is only one way to settle this thing.
It was so nice of you to ask me out to dinner.
Not at all. I think it's usually easier to talk in a congenial atmosphere. Nothing like a good meal to loosen the tongue.
Well, you're so right. I've been trying to get up the courage to tell you or one of the other gentlemen for over a week now, but I just couldn't find the heart to do it.
Well, I don't think I quite follow you.
Well, I might as well come right out with it, sir. The bare fact of the matter is, sir, that I'll have to be leaving you very soon. Oh, it isn't that I'm ungrateful or dissatisfied. It's just that Tim and I are going to be married a week from next Thursday.
Well, I just can't believe it.
I was afraid you'd take it pretty hard. But don't you worry now, sir. I'm sure everything will work out for the best.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Oh, hello, J.T.
Well, sit down.
Gentlemen, I am glad to report that after this week, Miss McKeever will no longer be with us.
You told her.
If you don't mind my asking, Tyler, just how did you finally break it to her?
Firmness of purpose, naturally. Keep your goal in sight. Let nothing stand in your way. I must admit, however, that my task was made somewhat easier by the fact that Miss McKeever is planning to be married shortly.
No.
Isn't that nice?
Well, I hope he's good enough for her.
Yes, well, that brings me to another matter I'd like to discuss with you. In view of the fact that Miss McKeever will have been with us for nearly a year, I thought perhaps it would be appropriate for us to present her with a parting gift.
Oh, by all means.
Why, count me in.
Oh, very well, then we're all agreed. Now, it occurred to me that a suitable gift might be $100 and a watch.
Oh, splendid. Splendid.
$100 in this lovely watch. To Birdie McKeever, may all the minutes in your life be joyous ones. T-F-S-N-O, Tyler, Flint, Standish, and O'Rourke.
We just want you to be very happy.
Indeed we do.
We all wish you the best.
That goes for me and Emily, too.
Wait till Tim hears about this. I think I'm going to cry.
No.
None of that now.
Thank you. Well, you gentlemen will be glad to know that your kindness hasn't gone unrewarded. I've got a good piece of news for you, but I've been saving to the last.
Oh, well, out with it.
Yes, by all means.
Let's hear it.
Well, I talked to my sister Peggy last night, and it's all settled. She's agreed to take my place with you after I've left.
Your sister, you say?
Yes, sir, that's right, my sister Peggy. Of course, she hasn't quite my knack for typing and such office matters as that, but she's as sweet and honest as the day is long, and I know you're all going to love her. She'll be here any minute.
No, really, Miss McKeever, you shouldn't have.
Now, Mr. Tyler, don't you bother thanking me. Well, my goodness, that was the least I could do.
This is absurd.
Absurd? It's impossible.
It's a fine kettle of fish. A kettle of fish.
Her knack for type. Look, you've got to block this immediately.
Now, for once, let's keep calm. A very simple matter. We just refuse to see the young lady.
We certainly have the privilege of hiring whom we want.
One of you boys call the employment agency immediately and warn them that if they don't send us the most efficient girl that they can find, we'll sue them.
Sue them, yes.
You tell Miss McKeever when her sister comes to send her home. We've already hired someone.
We've already hired. Yes, I will. Oh, I beg you.
Gentlemen, my sister Peggy is here.
Now, just a minute, Miss McKeever. We're not...
Peggy?
Well... Come in.
Right this way. This is Mr. Tyler and Mr. O'Rourke, Mr. Standish.
How do you do?
And I'm Mr. Flint.
Flint.
Oh, of course. Certainly.
Well, Miss McKeever, glad you're here.
Oh, no, thank you. I never smoke on the job.
Very nice of Birdie to refer you to us in this instance.
I think you'll like our office here.
Boys, there's practically nothing to do. I mean, you get the knack of it right away.
Well, gentlemen, I think it's very kind of you to consider me for the position, but I must tell you that I've had very little experience.
Oh, tut. It doesn't matter. What little you have to learn, Birdie will teach you in no time at all.
You'll find it's very easy.
Mm-hmm. When would you like me to start?
Well, right now, if it's all right with you. As a matter of fact, I thought it would be nice if we had lunch together.
Not a bad idea, old boy.
Just a minute, I'll get my hat.
Of course.
Shall we go?
By all means. Miss McKeever, if anybody calls, we're at lunch.
Aren't they wonderful? I knew they'd like her right away.